Let us pray. Praise God. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful, dear Lord, to be able to gather here today. Help us and encourage our hearts and uplift us. Help us so that we might be able to help others. Yes, O Lord, and instill that love for our neighbors upon us and upon everyone. Bless and touch each and every household and family represented here today. Help us so that we might be able to lift up and praise your name through it all. For we ask it in the name of our Savior, Christ Jesus. Amen. Amen. Face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, moving along. We have no public input. No one signed up, so we need a motion for review and approval of agenda content.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes. Any questions or changes? Need a motion for approval.
So moved. Seconded.
Thank you. Moving right along. All right. Discussion item. Presentation by R.J. Corman. Been looking forward to that train riding. So if you got your cell phone number, because I'm gonna come ride that. I mean, so we'll move through. Yeah, morning. So if I drive through Nichols all the time and stuff, see the train tracks. There you go. Working on it. Well,
yeah.
Choo-choo. I love the train.
Good morning, everybody. I know we presented last meeting, went through this, so I'll go through it, the whole program again. We'll get a little bit quicker. I know my engineering friends kind of went through it in exceptional detail last time. So this is kind of update on Carolina line. We went through it before, but idled in 12, acquired in 15. Partnership with Horry County. First carloads moved to 16. We went from 69 cars in 2015 to this slide kind of shows you we're getting up there close to that. Target's gonna be 9,000 carloads. We should be there this year. Really good. We're talking about 100 cars a mile is what our target is. So that puts us right where we need to be when we started this project. Again, from an idle railroad. We went through a Tiger project. Here's some before and afters for you all. I know some of you are newer to this, to kind of what we started with and where we're at now. So a few before and afters. A lot of tire replacement, a lot of surfacing here. A lot, sand, holding structures is a problem for our railroad down here in this part of the wood, gumbo clay. We learned what that was coming from Kentucky until we moved here. We were educated quickly on that one. So, we figured it out. Switches before and after. So this is what we've done to this point along the corridor. Again, we had a Tiger project that was previously, Horry County sponsored that. We went through that project. That kind of got us going from abandoned line to where we are today. This is in Mullins. We're getting into some crossing. Last presentation was questions of before and after crossing pictures and what crossings are going to be in this project potentially. But this is in Mullins, just a kind of a quick representation of what it could potentially look like. Get into the Chrissy project. So we have opportunity to utilize federal funds as a group to address crossing surface, county-owned portion of this line. The whole project total is $16 million, and that is in Horry County, right? We're talking about owned portion of the R.J. Corman and also leased from Horry County. As you can see, 336, the top right, the Horry County specifically is 336.3 to 342. That would be from the turn bridge on the Waccamaw down, probably Postal Way will be the terminus of this project right now. The ask, we'll get to it later, but this one is FRA is going to contribute $6.5 million. RJC, Corman would contribute 1.4, and the ask is always from Horry County. Is also match our 50-50 at 1.4. Ultimately, though, we are going to contribute, being RJ Corman, $3.4 million to the project, and the federal government will contribute $11.2 million to this project. Specifics, we got through this last time. There's a breakdown. I'm sure it's in your packet. If you want to look in more of what's specifically what, but we'll get into. I have another slide at the end with the map because that was the ask last meeting of what's going where, what crossings, what surfaces. So we'll get into that of how we're going to break this down. Again, it's pretty robust project, and I know all of you all kind of, you know, we've seen, it comes up every week. I know the county sent us some as early as this week on some crossing surfacing, crossing conditions. You see it, you drive down that railroad, especially specifically the least section. So this is, you know, you got Winya, French Collins. They're, you know, we too agree that they all need to be addressed. There's some rail concerns in the county piece. Again, we're getting into the clay and the sand. It's hard to control surface with this railroad. We need a influx to upgrade from the small rail to the big rail. The big rail holds the gauge, holds surface. You won't see that spaghettian look if you're going across these crossings. Also, the question came up too on the value if we reclaim this asset. By the time you pull it up, by the time we get it moved, we get it to the scrapper, I mean, it's pretty minimal, right? There's not a lot of value left in 85-pound rail. We can try to sell it, but there's not a lot out there other than a mine. If there was some mines that may, like West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, that might require purchase from us, but it would be very difficult. Transportation would be expensive. And some more examples of the county portion. I think 1916, correct me if I'm wrong, or 13. It's pretty. It's been out there for a while. On this section, started as a logging railroad. It needs some upgrade this time for that line. Scope of the Chrissy, that's the full scope. It's in your packet. 13,000 feet of surfacing. I mean, it's miles and miles. So it's going to. It's addressing a lot of the problems that we've been working through for the last 6 years. Crossings to be replaced. Country Club will get replaced. Long Avenue, SC 65. There's some private ones, 332, that's private, all privates. Let's go in. So defects, Mr. Quillen presented last time. It's not a specific for this group, and it's the engineering side. There is a lot of defects, right, that are out there on this section. We monthly run a Sperry truck down to basically X-ray the surface, check gauge. So we're seeing kind of an uptick in those defects, and a lot of them, again, to get back to the rail itself, there's internal flaws in the rail that you all don't see, that we see, that when we go, it's just scrap value at this point. Test, per year, 74. This gets into some Mr. Quillen issues. So again, we brought that up in the beginning. $16 million project for Horry County. 11.2 from the federal government, 3.4 from R.J. Corman, and the ask is 1.4 from Horry County. And these funds, the ask, this is a 2027 project, so 2026, then I believe the release of funds, late 26, early 27, for the actual transfer of funds and the match. Our ask is just for a letter of commitment towards this project from the county. Can you switch to the third one? Yeah. So the ask was, again, all of the crossings itself. So I got Highway 905 would be 905 Depot Road. The crossing behind Canfor is one of them. Depot Street behind Canfor is going to be addressed. French Collins, Woodward Avenue, University Forest, East Cox Ferry, Allied University, Century Circle, Winya, Wild Wing, and Gardner Lacey. And then there's another 5 private crossings that are in the middle of all that are also to be replaced. Torn out, new rail, new surface, new rubbers. And then I think that's about
That's
it.
going to start in 27?
27, sir. Yeah, once the fund, the NOFO comes out, we'll get into the project, but it'll be a 27 project. I mean, we'd hope it moves up to late 26, we would hope, but I mean, with the shutdown and where we're at and things get pushed back, it's probably looking like 26 early for this project. I know in the county piece specifically, north, there's, so in the county, I'll get into some details on ties. It's 25,500 ties between the river and coastal. And then you got surfacing, that's 133, so it should be 13,600 feet. Switch ties 350, multiple crossings, ballast, I mean thousands of tons of new rock on that railroad. Again, we would love to have some rock other than sand, so it's the goal, right? But again, the ask last was what specifically is encompassed in this in the county, and it's in your packet. You can see exactly what money's going to be used for. Yes, sir.
What about 12th Avenue and Lakeland Crossing?
We can add it if it's a non-starter. It needs to be added. We can add them. We have latitude. If you know some that would be addressed, that we can try to squeeze them in under
They're rough.
in the scope. Understood. And there's a few that are already planned for this year, and I need to double check on capital, that are already going to be addressed in terms of just the normal annual, what crossings get replaced per year. But this sample looks good, sir.
I would prefer the county spend this 1.4 million on that Blue Bridge and fix it so we can go all the way into Myrtle Beach with a tourist train or freight if any of those lumber yards wanted it, or beer companies. But I know it's better to spend it on your rail to keep the trucks off the highways and everything, but
Yes, sir.
is there a way to find money through the federal government to fix that bridge?
It's a good question. We're gonna ask. I mean, I
Already-
know they're looking for monies for the turn bridge on the Waccamaw in Conway now. That's being looked at, but I think that bridge, part of our lease and our maintenance agreement, that's still with the Horry County, that bridge itself specifically. Like, I mean, I guess the county could go try to address that concern, but we don't have a maintenance or a lease agreement on that bridge, on the intercoastal.
Yeah.
But, and then on freight side, all my business is west of the intercoastal at this point.
Right. You
The
go-
majority of this, sorry, go ahead.
You go where the money's at and try and keep the trucks off the road, I know.
Correct.
We're trying to, I'm trying to get tourism from Myrtle Beach to Conway. And if we don't have any success trying to do that, we're gonna have to probably put rails to trails, and then we just lose total use of it unless we pony up in 20 years and put all that rail back. And we don't really wanna do that.
Yeah, we don't resist tourism, that's not the issue. This ask is, I mean, the majority of this project is a county-owned asset, and we just inherited, we have the lease on it, right? So it's not, I mean, it's,
Does this $16 million move us closer to transporting people on the county rail?
it moves us closer. There's another number associated with once you go from class
How much is
1
left?
to class 1, 2 to class 3, right? That's what we're talking about, and it's substantial, but then there is federal monies, when you start talking about that, then there's projects, right? Light rail projects that we get into, that we'd have to go for further discussion.
I agree with Councilman Howard in that I think that needs to be, that would be one of my end goals. So,
Can't we get some study or some kind of talking points about that for future meeting?
We can, yeah, I mean, there's companies.
I've heard different numbers. I've heard 2 million, I've heard 8 million, I've heard all kinds of numbers for the
Well,
bridge.
it's the last estimate that we had on the bridge and stuff. I know we had one years
Like
ago.
$500,000,
How much?
$500,000.
I like
That's
that
the
number
old-
better.
That's a long time ago, about 10 years ago.
We've not had it formally reviewed by an engineer or contractors to determine what that cost might be for that bridge repair. We estimated close to a wag as we can get.
Well, WAG is better than nothing. If we could get something like the Blue Bridge, like Mr. Howard said, but then, like Mr. Anderson said, what the difference is between moving towards passenger travel. I know that's a lot.
Right,
We
we go
could
to a
figure
higher
out.
class.
Yeah.
You said that number was substantial.
It
So
is.
you have an idea what that number is then?
I have a reference to North Carolina, substantial, being there's a project there, it's substantially more miles, but it's 60, 70 million on that project. But we can base it down per mile, but I mean, I give you a guesstimate.
And that was going from the class 1 to the class 3 passenger, and you said
Correct, yes,
substantial.
sir,
so-
correct, yes, sir.
Well, we need to get the numbers so we can at least say no, or maybe yes.
Gotta make a decision.
Yes, sir. We need the numbers to make the
But
decision.
this project specifically, I mean, your point, it would reduce that number, because it goes back to, we are upgrading the track, right? So this is going from accepted track to class 1 with this project. This track right now, it's accepted today. So now we upgraded, now we're class 1. We're taking steps to get to where it needs to be.
So that's the committee asking for that?
Mr.
Yes.
Howard, we asking for that?
Pardon?
make it in a motion.
Make a motion to, or.
Well, this is just for discussion.
Discussion,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we're asking for.
Yeah. Yeah, we're, I mean, we can do like you said, work on a little guideline, what we're shooting for, and then come back
Yes,
and
sir.
then get a motion, then
Yes,
get
sir.
a direction.
Okay, so we'll do some minor study
Minor
and
study.
consultation with Corman,
Yes, sir.
and then bring you some
That'd be great.
estimates back, and then we'll go forward with a full
There's-
study if we need.
Yeah, there's groups that do that study, like we had to hire, it's pretty minimal, but they'll give you the base, like. the base
Maybe we
of
just
what
take a
you-
look at North Carolina's per mile cost and just take that and use it with what
We'll
we've
probably
got.
do something like that, and
No need to reinvent the wheel, it's all the same federal standards.
Yeah.
See what the cost to do it is.
I can get that, I have that working through that project now, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Anything further from the committee? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Trains are always exciting.
Everybody
Happy
loves
about
trains.
trains. All right, moving along to resolution, item A resolution to set the roads and drainage in the following subdivisions in the Horry County Maintenance, Carrington Woods. Mr. Gilreath.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. These, the following have been designed, built, and found to meet county standards. Would recommend their inclusion into the county's maintenance system, and they are Carrington Woods, which is Ridley Street, Duval Street, Carrington Woods Way, and Anders Street.
Any discussion?
Well, yeah, I've always have a
Yeah.
discussion, it came up that we will be falling short with their studies in about, what, 5 to 10 years?
2034, if I recall.
2034?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna fall short with the speed we're growing and the neighborhoods we're accepting, 2034. Well, that's about 10 years, so, we might need to start looking at let's do it by, gasoline's done by pennies per gallon. Let's start doing that now, each year, a couple pennies, and people won't even, feel the, impact. So, we can maybe set something up where we approve it and it's automatically done, no more bringing it back. And in 10 years, it'll be where it needs to be because it grew with the demand.
Ain't gonna be no more pennies, Bill.
Nickels.
You're doing away with the pennies.
All right, let's go dimes then.
Nickels.
But I think we need to do something. We're sitting here bringing this every time, and I don't want to be the bad guy, but we don't want to get, and then we're going to come up with, they're going to need equipment or something, and we're going to be way behind them, and we won't be prepared.
Former Councilman Barnard used to say the same thing, but he would always vote no on these issues. But the thing is, how do we address our road system and our infrastructure? How do other states do it? So if I think that state of North Carolina, I don't believe that they actually have any county roads. They've all got state roads or private roads. And if you go up into the mountain areas and such, the people that live along the roads are going up in the mountains, they're tasked with keeping up their own. Now, what the answer is, I'm not sure, and so, but it's an expensive endeavor for the county. And we've got the largest road system out of the 46 counties in the state, or close to it,
We're probably in the top 5.
in the top 5. And with the growth and stuff, we're going to be in the top position here
Well, with the
in a few years. So,
transportation
we
tax,
got to figure out something, yeah.
We got the transportation tax, so that was major. Now we've covered the bulk. Now
Right.
we're talking about accepting new roads and fixing our roads, and that doesn't address. But our infrastructure's in a good spot.
I think that one thing that we should consider, and this might be kind of woo, but we may need to go back and look at our zoning ordinance with batch plants, because under the current zoning, that has actually driven up the cost of the material, because years ago, when we restricted it so heavily and required any new batch plants to be built indoors, a lot of batch plants and people who have looked into starting up another plant, they can't afford to do it because of the zoning and or the restrictions on it. So if we want to pull the prices down on future road construction and resurfacing, we may need to revisit that.
Or the county.
I'm just saying, and so if I'm just, you know, throwing it out there.
And then rezone it for batches, no housing around it. We just have to plan ahead.
Yeah. Tom?
That was a discussion that we've had in the past year, and I think our planning and zoning staff are actually working on that and have identified them all just because of that. With our new $5 billion to spend, we need more than one or two people making asphalt.
Exactly.
So,
I think that's good, and the administrator and I were at a meeting with Secretary Powell a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about that. He was talking about how it's been almost 10 years since they instituted the gas tax, and that he was planning on amping this up, ramping it up, and getting starting next year. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, it's something that affects not only us, but the entire state in that regard, and everybody's seen a similar type of inflation cost for road construction. If I'm not mistaken, and David asked if you just verify, but I understand that DOT pays a higher cost in Horry County than they do in other counties because we have so few batch plants.
So these two things tie together. You're absolutely right. Both of you are absolutely right. We need to look at that, and put the cost back down the way they used to be, as close as we can. And two, we need to get to Columbia and have our hand out. If they're amping up this money for the whole state, we need to make sure we're getting our share of it. Secretary Powell has indicated that he's willing to help us, because he's one of us, but we need to not let that slip by. So many times, things have been generated in Columbia, and they go to upstate or down to Charleston or something like that, but we're the big transportation people now, and we need to have our hands out.
And we do have 2 batch plants in the pipeline that are coming out as well.
Well, can we do this? Because we really need to get this process started before we really get Ride Forward going. Can we ask staff to come back with some recommendations as to amending that ordinance?
We will go back and review those, and if there are any major impediments to that, we will bring those recommendations to you.
Okay, and so because I've had a couple of folks contact me that want to put a batch plant here, but they can't, and so because of the restrictiveness of it. So, but if we could find some reasonable places, we need that, so because we need to work with the state. If we go up there with our hands out, we need to be able to say, look, y'all can purchase it in Horry County just as cheap as you can anywhere else, and we've got this Ride Forward, you know, coming. We need this infrastructure for our citizens, but we got to do our part too.
We'll bring that to you.
All right.
I got it. It building inside of the building, is that our regulations or is that a DHEC?
That's ours.
That's ours, for sound purposes.
Did we check to see what Brunswick County, how they were handling their subdivisions? And we talked about that at the last meeting. I'd heard that they weren't not taking anything in.
I have not.
Anything further?
No, we all support that, I believe.
is that a next month situation or a January situation? Have this
We
conversation.
need to move it along.
I agree.
It's a near term. If it's ready for next month, we can bring it.
Please. Since Raj is back, they can
Roll
step
Tide.
things up.
Roll Tide.
Yes, sir, and so if I had missed him over there, and so, but it's good to have him back, the brains of the outfit. Oh, Stevie, no pun intended. I understand. Roger's a good man, and so, man, good to have him on board. All right then, staff, understands and stuff, you're gonna bring us back something next month, and so can y'all do it that quick?
Some move on this, neighborhood, segment.
Okay,
On the roads, seconded.
all right. All right,
Even if we do this over time, it's gonna take time. The cost of building or paying for these roads is not gonna go away.
right.
All right, so as Mr. Howard brought up, and I've been, it's the 35th month I've heard this, every INR meeting, same thing, how are we gonna pay for these roads? How are we gonna pay for these roads? And we have this circular conversation. Yeah, it's a problem, but yet we've not actually done anything to address it. And even if you build 2 more batch plants, the cost is still there. And as he stated, and Mr. Gilry stated, we're gonna run out of money to be able to fix what we already have, and each month we keep bringing in more roads. So where do we stop and say, okay, and I'm sure this discussion's gone on long before I've been here, when do we stop and actually say, okay, we need to address the issue, how are we gonna do it? And just building 2 more batch plants is not
No,
gonna fix the problem that already exists.
Yes, sir. The batch plants will sort of mitigate the cost of the inflationary costs. It increases competition. So that's something we definitely need. The primary driver of what we're talking about is inflation and not as much growth. Growth is a factor, but the inflationary costs associated with construction are significant, and that's what's driving the future need for additional funding. Right now, what we're projecting is our funding is adequate at its current levels, and the current inflation rates until 2034. And at some point, we're going to need to increase that level of funding. So that we're not there yet. We don't want to charge it prematurely, but doing an incremental approach, as Mr. Howard has suggested, may be a way to address that.
Or should we start working on that, because that time is gonna come, and every month we keep bringing in more roads, and I mean, how many developments are sitting out there, they're gonna get built, and we're gonna bring in those roads.
Right.
So all I'm pointing out is,
And our forecast takes into account expected growth as well. We maintain our current levels of growth, the current projection on inflation, and we should be good through 2034. But there will always be needs to increase the cost associated with roads, with vehicles, with everything, as everything gets more expensive. Yes, sir.
And it's also helped us up because we extended the warranty on them
That, I believe that's
a
paid a
few
lot of
years ago, and
dividends.
so that's made a difference. You went from what, 2 to 3 years,
We
and
went
3 to
from
5?
We went from a 1-year to a 3-year warranty back in '06, if I'm not mistaken, '07, somewhere in that time frame, about '07. And that is paid off a lot because it incentivizes everybody to perform better.
Is it time to go to a 5?
I don't want to answer that without having some good data to look at. What we look at is those failures that are associated with either a design issue or a construction issue, not a materials issue typically, but and when those failures occur. So we did that when we went from the 1 to the 3-year. We were spending, if I recall, about $300,000 a year making repairs in years 2 and 3, and that was the reason and the justification. I'd have to go back and check those failure times associated with the current processes. And we've also increased our standards as well. We don't have the failures. We used to have a single lift of asphalt. Now we're to 2 lifts of asphalt, and that second lift is delayed to later into the process, so that most of the traffic has occurred, most of the failures, if any, have occurred, and then that resurfacing, the final lift addresses most of those issues, along with any kind of patching that may have been required. So I would have to look at the data to be able to tell you whether we should move to something longer. I would say that that would probably be less common been more common in the industry. But be glad to look at that and see.
If you would, please look at that, and then also add, when you're looking, it seems like whenever you approach a bridge in Horry County, even in Georgetown County, it's like you're preparing to launch. It's like
All the counties is that way, so.
the prep work for that last 20 feet. It's like, don't worry about to put some sand in there. We don't need rock. And
Long-term consolidation and settlement
Yeah.
is a challenge.
it's a great influence to slow people down, but at the same time, then,
Typically not on county.
yeah. Thank you.
Yes,
You
sir.
spill your coffee, don't you?
Yeah. My big gulp. But I have to put my phone down.
All right. Moving right along, so we're working on it. Item B, a resolution to modify the hours of operation of the Solid Waste Convenience Center. Mr. Gilbert is going to take this. Miss Esther's out
Yeah.
sick or something, I think?
Esther's out sick, we miss her, we wish her well. We have that presentation before. So, some of you saw this last meeting, y'all asked some additional clarification and questions. Some were not here, so I'm gonna kind of run through this in an accelerated manner. As you know, the Solid Waste Authority operates convenience centers for Horry County as a service to Horry County, and there are about 24 of those centers in operation. What we have noticed over the years, and this request has been made over the last few years, is to reduce the operating hours for our centers. We currently operate typically from 7 to 7. In some locations, there are half days during the week, but typically our operating hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can see on the screen to the right side what our neighbors are typically doing, as well as Charleston. Most of those sites are open basically from 8 to 5 or 8 to 6. They do not offer near the number of hours that we do typically. You can see Charleston 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we have some challenges associated with working in the later hours in the day. Some of those are maybe lighting associated. Some of those are more security and safety related. So we brought to you last time a request to reduce, to move the closing time to 5:30 p.m. The committee asked, and wisely asked, how much effect is that going to have? How many people are coming in that hour and a half that you're talking about? So we went back and added some studies, and I'll just kind of jump to it. So if you want to read some spaghetti here, we have data from 5 different centers. There's some along the coast and there's some inland. What we believe to be a representative sample of the centers. We put traffic counters out, and we have counted traffic. I think it was a 10-day count, if I'm not mistaken. It was 2 weekends and a full week, full weekday assessment. And these are the traffic rates. If you see, like, if you look at the 7 a.m. on the far left, everything that's showing at that point came in between 7 and 7:29, and 7:30 is showing all the data that came in from 7:30 to 7:59. All of those have been refined down to that one large thick red line that you can see. And what we're showing over to the right is the amended proposed closing time of 6 p.m. You can see it basically it's kind of a light gray box on the right-hand side. Everything associated, or everything collected inside of the last hour represents about 6% of your total traffic. So that's what we would be affecting, and that's the question that the committee asked at the last meeting. From a purely efficiency standpoint, we could cut off the first hour, and we would only affect about 4% of this area over here. That first hour is 4% in total of the total traffic. The last hour is 6%. We realize that it's a higher effect on higher impact. And when we talk about 6%, we're not talking thousands of potentially shifted drop-off times for the trash. We're talking probably system-wide in the hundreds, low hundreds, I would say. Some of these centers are seeing 15 and 18 and 30 people showing up in the last hour. It is not hundreds of people in that, at any one center. It in aggregate is probably a few hundred countywide. I can't tell you exactly because I haven't done a study on all 24 centers, but represented it is probably not as significant as it may seem, but we would recommend primarily for security and safety purposes to reduce your hours of opening back to closing at 6 p.m. at all of the sites. In addition to one other request was to adopt Easter as a recognized holiday for the Solid Waste Authority and not open any of the centers on Easter Sunday. That has been a request, I know, for at least 10 or 15 years, but it would be a good time to consider that. So I'll open it up to y'all if y'all have any questions.
What about if you were to go, according to this chart, open at 10, close at 6, and so that'd be your 8-hour day, and so that's the majority of your traffic?
Well, what we would recommend is maybe this adjustment or an adjustment, because I think you're going to see more people drop off prior to work than after work if we do this. We could shorten the hours. I'd be reticent to get too aggressive with it.
Tom, you had a question?
I was gonna ask the same basic thing concerning the spaghetti dinner. Did the request change from last month to this month as far as the hours go?
If you notice, one thing we did not realize was that spike right there. You see this increase at the 5:30 to 6 p.m. hour? That pushed us from recommending a 5:30 to 6 because of that sudden increase that you can see in it.
I think that's the folks that got in the car after work and realized they forgot to drop the trash off this morning.
And we did notice one trend. What seems to be a trend on the coast is that maybe the trash drop-off is more associated with retired folks, and that
Noontime.
the distribution is more level throughout the day. It is not as spiked as it does not peak as much as it does on the end of the sites. So it's one tidbit that we did find, and I think they're nodding their head in affirmation.
Thank you for looking into it.
Would it be too hard for the employees at each one of these centers to hand out a questionnaire to everyone that comes in to fill out, and, 2 or 3 questions? That way you get their input, I mean, some people want to get there before they go to work, some people get there after they go to work. The people that are in between don't work, and they can go anytime.
This is contract.
And we were somewhat, I would say probably in general, we didn't expect the peaking to be so high around the 10 to 2 time frame.
So you're asking council to make that decision. We don't go there, so we're not sure. But the customers that go there, they need a voice in this. It's not a big deal to change the time, but it is to them if it inconvenience them. It's supposed to be a convenience center, not inconvenience. I have trash service.
Oh, okay.
We're just talking about the last hour, keeping 7 to 6, right?
7 to 6.
Yeah. I had some calls on it when it kind of first came out. We do have a lot of people that go, before work, so I'm fine with this. I think it's a good change. They need to be out of there before dark, because it still keeps them there at dark, but they need to be out of there at 6 o'clock.
Was that a
I
motion?
think it'd be a good change.
I have a question. Are some of them closed some days of the week already? Or are they all?
One day Thursday, isn't it?
Yes, it varies. It's usually Tuesday or Thursday or something.
It does. No wonder I always get there.
There are some closed all day, and then there's some days that, like on Thursday and Aintree, it's closed half of the day.
Just don't mess with Saturday morning.
The
Mother will be down
primary
there.
purpose to alter the hours, what is the very first reason to do this?
The primary purpose is to allow 2 things, 3 things. It lets folks, it's easier to recruit because they're able to get home at an earlier hour. It opens up recruitment to a broader range of individuals that may need provide meals or whatever for their family in the evenings at an earlier hour. The second thing that it does is it allows, I forgot my third thing, but the primary driver of this is so that we can let people get out of there and not working less in the dark and not as exposed from a safety standpoint.
The first thing you said, contrary to Mr. Howard, I do take my trash to the dump sometimes twice a week, and I do see the constant turnover of people. Not the greatest job in the world, but to start every day at 7 o'clock, there's not too many places you go to work that you start at 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't even think the people that work here at the county start at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, a guy like you might come in some days, yeah, but you know, if you're open 5 days a week for 5 hours, guess what? People are going to take their trash. They'll get there at that time. So if we have a problem retaining people and even recruiting people, then I think we need to adjust those hours accordingly. 7's awful early. You know, save an hour at the beginning of the day, an hour at the end of the day. You know, does that fix your problem?
You gotta remember, Mike lives on that side of the walkway.
There are merits to adjusting both ends of the schedule. We don't want to, we're not recommending moving too aggressive with the modifications.
So you think 1 hour at either the end or the beginning fixes the problem?
The hour at the end is our biggest request because of the increased or enhanced safety of staff.
I think it'd be good, and so if you need to cut that hour off at the end, close at 6, because that gives the people time, you know, getting off of work, you know, to go by, and so then to get home, and it's, oh my, so we've still got, you know, a few minutes to get there.
It will also allow some minor improvements in the ability to have more than one person on staff at that center, concentrating the work hours to be able to provide.
Did you make a motion already?
I did.
Hey, the difference between 7 and 8 looks like about 2.5 or 0.5%.
4%.
From 7 to 8 is 4%.
And 6 to 7 is 6%. But it's that last hour that it's more of a safety.
Second the motion that Mr. Mark made.
What's the motion again?
Motion to accept the recommendation.
7 to
We
6?
got with Easter and the closing at 6 o'clock.
All in favor? Aye. All right, sir. That's good. Moving right along to item C, a resolution to recognize the Horry County Oyster Stewardship Program. Mr. Brent.
Morning.
Love oyster.
Any samples?
I'm Brent Carey, Horry County Stormwater Watershed Planner. Today I'm proud to recognize the Horry County Oyster Stewardship Program, a program embraced with resilience, restoration, and partnership. This program shows how local action and teamwork can protect the waters that define our coast and our quality of life. Myrtle's Inlet accounts for our beaches, marshes, and creeks. When one is in decline, the rest feel it. The oysters are the keystone to that. They filter the water that allows the grass to grow. The grass can grow, it holds the sediment. When the sediment holds, it protects our shorelines. As the reef disappears, the inlet loses its natural filter. Water can become murky. The road banks can erode, and long-term effects on both the inlet and the beaches, two cornerstones of our economy and our culture. To restore this balance, Horry County partnered with the South Carolina DNR SCORE program, Loris FFA. The students at Loris FFA even took this project to the national level, and as the DNR likes to say, those kids built more baskets than the Marines of Paris Island. It just goes to show you that education and community pride can create real environmental change. We replaced these reefs where active erosion was taking place, forming a living wall. These MWR, or manufactured wire reefs, are made from recycled oyster shell that trap sediment, encourage marsh growth, and rebuild shoreline. These living structures help protect county infrastructure, reduce damage to storm from surges, all while improving water quality. And this is just the beginning. More than 400 MWRs are in place, filtering an estimated 133 million gallons of water a day and stabilizing our shorelines. This model can be repeated in all coastal areas where erosion and water quality are challenges. It's sustainable, low cost, and nature-based. This is just our first install. We have another install by Cypress with another 200 baskets, and we have another 200 baskets ready to go. I'd just like to say thank you to the Horry County Stormwater Field Crew, who every time I call them, they come out. Sometimes it might not be the best word. I'd also like to thank the South Carolina DNR, the SPOR program, and Loris FFA. It's really something they can be proud of, and it just goes to show you where hard work can turn an idea into a growing success. Resolution's not up there, but I'll read the resolution. Y'all so inclined to do so. This resolution recognizes the Horry County Oyster Stewardship Program. Whereas Horry County Oyster Stewardship Program focuses on the installation and propagation of oyster basket systems designed to improve water quality and stabilize sediment within the marsh system. And whereas Horry County recognizes the eastern oyster as a vital species that improves water quality, protects shorelines, and supports ecological and cultural heritage of our coastal communities. And whereas Horry County considers oyster shell to be a renewable natural resource and affirms its intention that oysters consumed within the county remain within the county whenever possible for the use of local ecological restoration and shoreline protection efforts. And whereas more than 400 manufactured wire reefs have been installed in the local marsh system, creating the largest man-made oyster reef in the state of South Carolina, an effort that engages students and residents with hands-on restoration, expands awareness of coastal stability, and contributes to the filtration of an estimated 133 million gallons of water per day. This initiative exemplifies Horry County's long-term commitment to environmental stewardship, public engagement, and sustainable practices that support both natural systems and community resilience. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Horry County Council celebrates the success of Horry County Oyster Stewardship Program and its partners, and hereby encourage all residents, organizations, and businesses to participate in the oyster shell recycling and restoration activities that contribute to a cleaner, healthier, and more resilient Grand Stream.
So moved.
Eat more oysters.
Recycle.
So the next project is on Cypress, is that Cypress Avenue?
Cypress Avenue, yes, sir. We already did the project there.
Okay.
Supported all around the bridge, underneath it, both sides.
Is it safe to eat oysters and crabs in that area?
Is it safe to eat? Those are closed beds.
Closed bed?
Yeah. DES closes those beds.
So, no. How about the crabs? No. Thank you. Do you have a motion?
So moved. Mr.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you for your
Good
time.
work.
Great project.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you all.
Moving on to item D, a resolution recognizing the winners of the 2025 Horry Soil and Water Conservation District Essay Contest, Mr. Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So today, I'm here to present a resolution recognizing the winners of the 2025 Horry Soil and Water Conservation District Essay. While looking through some of this, one thing that stuck out to me is this essay contest has been going on for 82 years now, since 1940 in Horry County schools. That was a pretty impressive tradition they had going on. Without any delay, I'm just going to read the resolution to you. Whereas each year since 1943, the Horry County Schools and Horry Soil and Water Conservation District have sponsored an essay contest for students focusing on the conservation and protection of our natural resources. And whereas the Horry County Stormwater Management Program, recognizing the value and importance of this event, has become a co-sponsor of the contest. And whereas this year's contest topic for 5th grade was, now that you've designed a device to aid in water pollution cleanup, write an argumentative response to persuade readers that your device would be an essential tool to help keep Horry County's water supply clean. The 7th grade topic was suppose you live in an area that depends on an aquifer for water. Over the past several summer months, temperatures have been higher than normal and rainfall has been less than normal. As a result, water levels in the aquifer have dropped and residents have had to restrict water use. Now your local newspaper reports that a builder is seeking permits from the town zoning board to construct 20 new homes in the area. A town meeting has been called and residents have been invited to speak. Prepare an argument for or against the builder's proposal. Support your position with evidence, including the use of your model. Now therefore be it resolved that Horry County Council commends all the students and teachers who participated and especially recognizes 5th grade district winner Kaisley Jane Blanton from Greenseed Floyd Elementary and 7th grade district winner Kylie Sessions from Myrtle Beach Middle School. Our partners with the Horry Soil and Water Conservation District, they're currently on furlough, so they couldn't be here, but they will be at the county council meeting with the SA winners.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
All in favor? Good job. Alrighty, moving right along to the ordinance under Ordinance A, an ordinance amending Articles 2 and 3 of the zoning ordinance of Horry County, South Carolina pertaining to Planned Development Districts, PDD. Ms. Stevie Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. This morning we have in front of you a couple of changes that we're looking to make it to our existing PDD ordinance. In our zoning ordinance, articles would be Articles 2 and 3 of our zoning ordinance. And we'll go through Article 3 first, and there will be requirements for amendments to an existing PDD. A major amendment to a planned development district can only be proposed by a property owner or an authorized applicant. The amendment must maintain the PDD's requirement of mixed uses. What that's saying is if we have an existing PDD today or in the future that meets the requirements of a mixed-use PDD, someone couldn't come in and make a change to that PDD that would bring those requirements below the minimum, which is it goes without saying, but we're just making the ordinance more clear. It says also changes that may only apply to property under the applicant's control, and any modification that affects shared elements like access, open space, amenities, or infrastructure would require everyone within the PDD to sign for any kind of change like that. Also, along with that, it would be required for everyone to sign if there was a use that was prohibited previously for a PDD. If they were trying to add that use back into an existing PDD or into an existing PDD, everyone within that PDD would have to sign for that use to be changed. And then the last thing is the notice of proposed major amendment will be mailed out to all property owners within the PDD. The way it works now, it would be just within 500 feet of where the use change was taking place. So if within the same PDD, if I live within 500 feet of that, my next door neighbor may not get the same letter that I get, but we live in the same PDD, and there's a major change going on. So what we want to change is to make it where everyone within the PDD will be notified by letter, and keep it like it is now for anyone outside of the PDD would still be within 500 feet. That's the changes there on those requirements. Anyone has any questions before I move on to the next?
Questions, comment?
I like notifying all the property owners instead of just doing 500 feet.
That's what he said.
That's why I said I like notifying all the property owners instead of just the 500 feet.
All righty. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the next one is yours also.
Yes, sir. The next one is Article 2 of that same ordinance, and what it's talking about here would be the requirements for an initial PDD rezoning and the use requirements for PDD. This statement is already in our zoning ordinance. Here, you see up top here, it says if a planned development district involves multiple property owners, the initial zoning amendment application must be filed jointly by all owners. That statement is already in there. The only thing that we added was the word initial. Initial wasn't in there before, and we added that to that statement. The second thing in this same section is the use requirements for a PDD. The state requires us now for a PDD to be mixed use. We can no longer have single-use PDDs. State law says planned development district or a planned development project should be comprised of housing of different types and densities and of compatible commercial uses such as shopping centers, office parks, etc. So state law tells us that a PDD should be mixed use, but it doesn't give us any kind of percentages to use for those mixed uses. So as staff, we sat down and tried to come up with a reasonable percentage that we could use that would meet these standards and also go along with our comprehensive plan to create what would create a mixed-use development. So what we've said here is each PDD must include a mix of uses, at least 2 types of residential and 1 commercial. Commercial may include institutional or industrial uses. Each use type must make up at least 10% of the buildable area, but no single use would be required to exceed 50 acres. If more uses are proposed, staff may adjust the percentages to maintain the intent of a balanced mixed-use development. For example, we require there to be at least 2 residential components within the PDD. If a developer decided to do 3, we wouldn't make them have 10, 10, and 10. We would allow them to take that 20% for the 2 uses and distribute it across the 3 uses if they wanted more uses. That probably wouldn't happen very often, but just wanted to put that in there just in case. And then the 10% would be still for the commercial requirement. And that would be the changes there, if anyone has any questions on that.
Well, I have a question. I was talking to someone earlier walking in here today, and they were talking about 5%. Is that instead of the 10%? Is 10% strong, or is 5%? Was that brought up and talked about?
It was, but I think the 10% allows us to make sure that project meets the mixed-use intent that a PDD is supposed to have.
And you say it's supposed to have, but the state doesn't require any percentages?
It does not set a percentage, no, sir.
Okay. Can we hear from that person? Maybe he can explain some of the whys and nots?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You want to go up, Mike, talk about it?
Mr. Wood?
Here.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, thank y'all for the opportunity.
And speak a little loud so the mic can hear you, brother.
I have a great deal of respect for Stevie and his staff, and I agree that changes need to be made in this ordinance. Many times, we have seen people abuse the intent of state law and only include one multifamily structure in order to slide through. So I applaud the change. We just feel that the 10% number is extreme. The reason for that is the commercial aspect of it. So you have a residential PUD, and you need 10% commercial to make the project work. Back when we were doing golf course PUDs, that was not a problem because golf courses take up 140, 150 acres of a 500-600 acre project. So it was easy to meet that. Now, nobody's building golf course projects, so you would have to depend on a commercial use taking up 10% of a residential PUD, a project whose intent was for residential. And unless you have an odd use for that, and I've got one coming up that y'all will see that we do have an odd use, I could meet that. But unless you would have that odd use, it would be very difficult to meet that. As an example, let's take golf courses out of it because golf courses aren't anything we deal with anymore. But when we did the Barefoot Resort project in North Myrtle Beach years ago, the city, because of tax base, wanted us to have, it was a 3,400 acre project. They wanted us to have at least 100 acres of commercial in the project. And initially, it made sense. Well, 100 acres is that's a lot of land. And as we went through the PUD over 20 years, that
gradually got reduced down to where if you drive into Barefoot Resort today, there's only about 12 acres of commercial. Again, not counting the golf courses, but there is a limit to how much you can force in a development. And again, I agree that changes need to be made, but I like to see changes made in smaller steps. And I would argue that 5% certainly meets the state's requirements and gives staff a hook to hang developers on to meet that. And I would request that you'd at least consider going back to a 5% maximum instead of the 10.
Mr.
I'll be
Chairman,
happy to answer any questions you have.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think we could ask him any questions because he knows too much of, we don't know. Is there a chance we could send this back and y'all talk and then if you come back at the next meeting, you know, we can kind of feel better that y'all tried to make some kind of agreement where it works for everyone? Or do you think y'all have exhausted that already?
Well, if I might.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me. I've spoken with some of the staff, and the staff is okay. I think they could make it work with the change from the 10 to the 5. You know, I think, you know, it would be okay. Because I got to thinking about this, and so if you take a smaller subdivision, or, well, so if you use a PDD on a smaller plot, and so the 10% goes back, how far back and stuff does that go with the state? So if requiring the 10% inside of a PDD.
I don't believe it's a state requirement.
The state doesn't require a percentage.
The state doesn't, stuff.
No, we're setting the percentage, yes, sir.
I'm thinking about the land.
Mr. Chairman, should we change that here today?
Yes, sir, and so you
5%,
can.
And then make a motion and see what the council wants to do?
You can make a motion to amend it to 5 and to send it on council. Correct, Mr. Jordan?
Yes, sir. So we'd need the motion to amend, vote on that, and then vote on the main
Can I
ordinance.
say one more thing?
Sure.
In response to that, I understand that the same respect goes to Mr. Wooten, but make the comment that for a residential development, you don't need as much commercial, but when you're talking about a PDD, you're not talking about a residential development, you're talking about a mixed-use development. And to keep that as a mixed-use development, staff does feel like that 10% does that better than 5%. But
95.5, there's not much mixed about that, in all respect to, and I understand what you're trying to do, but 95.5, there's nothing mixed about that. And one of the problems that we have every meeting, that people complain about, is roads, traffic, getting out, having to go out to main corridors, and if you put business within those PDDs, that allows people to shop, doctor, whatever it may be, where they're living, to keep them from going out, creating more traffic in these other areas. But if you minimize it, all you're doing is making that problem, forcing people out into other areas. You just make it worse. So there's reason, I guess, that they come up with 10%.
And I'm not saying that I'm opposed to anything that's been said, but I'm just trying to explain our position on the 10% and why we came up with that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to send this back to them to continue to talk about it with the developers of the county, and then bring it back to us. And if they've made a decision, that's what they want, I feel we should support our staff, and because they do all the hard work. But let's give it a little more time, not rush into it today. So my motion is to send it back to staff.
There is some time-sensitive portion to this, I think.
Well, didn't they make a decision and wanted 10%, and that's why they brought it to us? Sounds like they already made a decision, Bill.
Tom?
Can we move forward with the 5% and still renegotiate this thing next month? Does that feel like you're getting undercut? If you say I'm getting undercut, then it will be at 10%.
I wouldn't say that.
We only make recommendations. This is a choice of this committee and council. So
Mark?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we amend it to 5% today on the amendment, and, yeah, that's 5%.
Second, further discussion at next month.
Mr. Chairman, did you have something to add to
I
it?
was just gonna say, we need to move this forward. We've been working on this thing for a while, and 10% seems to be the number, or at least the recommended number. And I'm good with whatever y'all wanna do with it, but we need to move it forward. Give us some time, if we want to, talk to staff, talk to some of these other engineers between now and the next big meeting. But I would ask that we move it forward either 5 or 10.
Well, Mr. Chairman, this first day I've heard about this, and y'all worked on it for a long time. I haven't gotten any cut sheets, poop sheets, whatever sheets on this, and it's I'd like to absorb it,
Yes, sir.
but at 5% I'm good with, and we've already got a second, and so I guess this is just we're just.
Well, I think Councilman Crawford has been working on this also, and he's reached out. So, and I think it pertains to his area too and stuff, if I'm not mistaken, and stuff I may be mistaken. But there seems to be
Well, we can't do it according to areas, can we? It either is the whole county or nothing, right?
supposed to be. Tom.
First of all, I support my staff 100%. And then second of all, Mr. Massarelli made a great point. We do need to add more commercial in the small little pockets and the rezonings, because it does keep people off the road. But at the same time, when we change the rules midstream, somebody's invested $10,000 or $100,000 because they were working with the old rules, that kind of hurts them. So I think with the 5%, it kind of keeps things moving, but I'm still and I would not have a big problem with going to 10% if we step it up and not shut people down who've already been working on something.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor and a second to move it on the 5% and ask staff to come back at the next meeting, correct? And to keep it moving?
This would go on to council.
Okay.
Well, keep in mind, if you have a PDD in your district and you don't like it, you can ask for changes and move forward with it. You don't.
Oh, yeah.
It's not gonna lock you into anything that you may not like in your district.
Right, and so 'cause that's just pertaining to the PDDs. Correct, okay? We have,
It just still goes to PC also.
Yeah, so it won't be on council
It
until
will be on
December.
council until after it goes to
Right.
PC. I just wanted to make that clear.
so there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Let's have this going.
Thank you.
It'll go to
Now let's
planning
do-
first?
That was for
You
the
gotta go
amendment.
with the-
We need
yeah,
one
I'd say
more vote.
2 noes and go to the main motion.
2 noes?
That was to amend it to 5.
That was the minute. Now it goes back to the main
Yes, sir.
motion.
I make a motion.
1 second, did we have another nay?
Yes, me.
Okay, so two.
Okay, now it goes back to the main motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Let's state that motion.
It's in your, it's on your packet.
Okay, I got you.
It's the main motion as
Yeah.
amended.
Just trying to stay on the bus here.
So the main motion would be to move forward with 10%.
No, with 5, because it just got amended.
Yeah, it
Just
just got
was
amended.
amended, and so it's going to planning and zoning first
Go to planning commission, yes, sir.
Move it forward as amended.
before it comes on. Yeah. Okay. Are we straight now?
Yes, sir.
Okey
All
doke.
in favor of moving on as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. One nay? Okay.
I'm parliamentarian.
2 noes.
Two nays.
2 noes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank y'all.
2 again.
Thank you. We do support y'all. It's just, we.
It's a balance.
Everything y'all do.
All right, all of your department reports is inside of your, we got one more, Miss Heather, right here, to adopt the 5-year review. I'm sorry.
Good morning. Thank
Go
you,
right
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Horry County Comprehensive Plan, Imagine 2040, our 5-year review. I have an overview of our timeline listed up there. We started the initiation in May at Planning Commission, and then we did an analysis of the existing conditions, and then we started public outreach through our online survey through July through September. And then in the month of August, we had 2 open house public input meetings. I want to take a moment to thank the councilmen that attended. We truly appreciate that. And then now we're up to the planning commission review to get it to go to council to be adopted. We also have the draft plan with the link to our survey when it was open, linked on our webpage, and we created a story map with our updated data that's been utilized throughout this review. The survey consisted of 6 elements, and we had 799 total responses. We used images up there from our Conway public meeting and our Carolina Forest public meeting. This is 3 examples of our questions we asked on the survey and analysis of the breakdown of the responses that we received. It's really important to note that during this review, we added our resilience element, and these are a variety of maps that we utilized during the preparation of this element. This is input that we received from various agencies and organizations, and we received positive feedback from Brunswick County. They stated the resilience element is filled with great information all in one place. And then here we have a word cloud that survey respondents provided words that describe what they loved about Horry County. Also, we have a QR code up there if you'd like to scan to look at the rest of the survey results and the entire plan. Please feel free. If you have any questions, myself or Raj will be happy to answer them.
Great job.
I see the word southern is very small, and so that should be very large. Good job. Any questions? Comments? A lot of work and effort's been being put in to this, and so as it comes forth and stuff, it'll be a good guide for all of you.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I second it.
Very good job. Thank you.
Now we've come to the end. All of your department reports is in the package. Are there any questions about that? Do you have any new or old business we need to tend to? Staff? Yes, sir,
I
Tom?
just want to remind everybody that staff is working on hopefully a presentation for next month, that when a municipality within the county spends time researching and certifying historical properties, that because it's already been certified in a municipality, that the county will not be involved in additional. The county would stick to certification of historical things that are within the county. The county would show the respect of kind of rubber stamping it because it's in the municipality and already been vetted by the municipality. They're still working on that, but I just don't want anybody to be blindsided, hopefully, when it comes up next month.
Only thing is I don't believe you got no tobacco barns inside any city.
Actually, we do. City Conway.
Anything further from the staff of the committee? Well, we got a busy day ahead of us, so looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Next.